Okay, let's get this out of the way because I feel this is really important, pertinent information. In Robocop for the Nintendo Entertainment System, you can do exactly 10 things in this video game. I know it seems like a lot, but get this. Here's what you could do in Robocop for the NES. You can punch. You can shoot things with a variety of weapons as you acquire them and in 5 different directions. You can block certain attacks. You can walk to the left. You can walk to the right. You could climb upstairs. You could climb downstairs. You can duck. You can enter doors. And you can collect power-ups to restore some of your energy. That's quite a bit of action on Robocop's part, and it's that kind of diverse variety that makes him a versatile, half-man, half-machine, all-cop. Now right now there's some genius watching this thing who's running his mouth babbling about how I forgot about how Robocop can jump. I didn't forget. The reason I didn't forget about how Robocop can jump is because Robocop cannot jump. Your B button punches, your A button shoots only when his gun comes out, more on that later. Your select button blocks. You can use the D-pad to aim your shots straight up or diagonally up, but you cannot jump whatsoever. You know what? I'm cool with that. Robocop's supposed to be this big lumbering beast of a machine that's slow and plodding, and jumping wouldn't necessarily fit in with that description. And besides, I've seen Robocop jump. Man, it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty at all. Unfortunately, without the ability to jump, this means that Robocop controls very much like a lumbering beast of a machine that's slow and plodding, with no means of expediting his journey from point A to point B. Not a terribly good sign in a game that forces probably the most unforgiving time limit ever conceived in the force of Robocop's battery meter. Apparently, the OCP of this universe opted for dollar store batteries, as you're only given a meager amount of time to complete a level, or else you'll power down and lose the game. This also means that the majority of the game is relegated to moving left or right, punch some bad guys, maybe shoot them, and reach the end of the area to face the end boss. Sometimes you'll have to climb stairs, enter doors, and ride elevators, but for the most part you're on this one continuous plane being bombarded by creeps, who can move a hell of a lot faster than you can and can easily gang up on you. It does eventually get boring after a while, and while younger me might have gotten a kick out of this game, older me eventually got bored after a couple levels, and this style of play stretches out for 6 levels with multiple rooms and floors, with little to no variety in terms of the overall gameplay. You'll fight thugs, you'll shoot dogs, you'll run on conveyor belts, you'll trade blows with some droids, you'll tackle a couple Ed 209s, you'll struggle to climb stairs because you have to be at a certain sweet spot in order to climb the damn things, you'll play a bonus round or two to collect extra lives, you'll watch a couple cutscenes and nothing of note will take place. You'd figure they'd try to make a Robocop game somewhat interesting, but no, not really. Then there's the strange mechanic of only having access to your weapon at certain points in the game, which I felt was odd at first, but I understood what they were trying to go for here. Restricting the use of excessive force only for those extreme situations that would require it. I just don't think it was done very well, more than anything, it creates confusion on the part of the player. You just kinda wish they would let you use the gun throughout the game and do away with this mechanic, just to make gameplay smoother. But then again, I honestly wish Robocop was a bit quicker in general, as it's very easy to get ganged up on both sides, and Robocop is just so much of a lumbering beast that it's painful. Control is probably not as slick as I would have liked, as response is slightly sluggish, especially with the punching. It's hard to get a good groove with the rapid punching every so often. And then of course there's the thing with the stairs and the sweet spot. You have to really find that sweet spot in order to climb stairs, otherwise it won't happen. And that kind of sucks and stuff. In terms of visuals, Robocop is really nothing special. Robocop himself looks somewhat decent for the most part, being the protagonist of the game and all, but the rest of the cast of foes you have to contend with lack any semblance of detail, and they look pretty bland in general. And I mean really bland. It seems like more effort was made in making Robocop look good, adding some nice details to the various level designs, making the heads-up display on the bottom look futuristic and high-techy and stuff, but when it came to designing the enemies, they just splashed some colors and pixels here and there and be done with it. No care in that particular department. The only exception to the rule is the Ed 209, which looks good but seems to have 2 frames of animation total, moves stiffly, and it has this weird gradient, solid 2-color background, and meh. That's all I got. Cutscenes are, well, they're okay. I've seen better, but this isn't terrible or anything. Probably the highlight's the introduction, and that's about it, really. In terms of sound, there's not much to it. There's only a handful of tunes, including a rendition of the Robocop theme that plays throughout the game's 6 levels. It's not a bad rendition per se, but it does get tiring listening to the same loop over and over again. The rest of the game's few tunes are nothing to write home about. Sound effects are average stuff, nothing special here. And that's all I really have to say about this game. On a whole, Robocop is at best below average and at worst a rather boring game practically swimming in mediocrity. Or maybe it's both of those things, I don't know. This is a game that seemed enjoyable at a younger age, but as you grow older and smarter, you start to realize how much of a chore this game really is to play. The lack of jumping does hurt the game somewhat. It's not a big deal per se, but I doubt it would have made the game any better. It's more the slow-moving pace of Robocop, the touchy stair-climbing ability, and the generic tedium of the whole thing that deadens the overall package somewhat. Certainly not a terrible game by any means, but still far below average to be considered good, wholesome fun. Try at your own risk.